Good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. I am here enjoying my Sunday and having a lovely time. And I'm actually working today because I'm off to an event next week. So I'm off, and that means that I have to work today in order to get everything done. So hello, everybody. Hope you're well. Today, we're just going to be talking a little bit about what's coming up on Transport Evolved. I'll be here to answer some of your questions, and we'll go from that. Sorry, I just ran upstairs. So thank you to everybody in the last week. We had a really successful October. We broke every single record at Transport Evolved. We made more money than we've ever made before. We had more viewers than we ever had before, more subscribers than we've ever had before in a single month. And unfortunately, we also had more crazy nastiness, but I guess that comes with the charity. Yo from the Slough. Someone has to live there. Slough, you mean? Slough. Someone's just sent me a message telling me that I have to move something. I'm going to move something. I'll be right back. Here we go. I realized that there was something that I was working on in the background that I didn't want on the chat. Not because I didn't want it on the chat, but because it's supposed to be a secret. So, hello everybody. I welcome you all today to the show. So, forgive the halo effect. I'm actually sitting at my wife's desk right now, and it is the weekend, but I am working because I'm not going to be around for parts of next week. Why does Tesla not make it possible yet to charge other cars other than Tesla? Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that Tesla is obviously Tesla supercharger technology is proprietary to Tesla, and it is proprietary even though it is open source, because nobody has taken Tesla up yet on the open sourceness of Tesla's tech. And in part of that open source arrangement, you would have to give Tesla something of equal value to Tesla, and you'd also have to pay your way on the supercharger network, and companies haven't taken up Tesla on that yet. It's important really to note here, I think one of the reasons why people haven't taken Tesla up on its offers yet is because Tesla owns the tech. And Tesla could at any point change its mind on that technology, and it could leave people in the lurch if they wanted to. By going with a standard that's agreed by multiple different companies and maintained and defined by a third party, you kind of insulate yourself from that. I think that's the reason. Also, you know, traditional automakers have been suspicious of Tesla up to this point. So, hi from Sweden. Someone has to live there too. Hello, Lars. I hope that you're having a cold afternoon. I'm guessing that you're probably in Gothenburg or somewhere nearby, because most Swedes live in the southern part of Sweden. So there we go. So this week, we are going to be doing some different videos on the channel. And I want to know what you guys think about 10 next week. We are going to be doing a 10 as usual, TEN, on Saturday. But it's going to be recorded on either Wednesday or Thursday. So it's going to be interesting. If you think I should just put 10 out a day early, put it out on Friday, and switch my Friday and Saturday videos around. I will obviously put a notice in there going, this has been recorded a day early or 2 days early. And so I may not get all of the news at the end of the week that I would normally get. But I'm not going to be in the office on Friday. I'm going to be in Seattle. So I'm not going to be able to do my usual weekend roundup show, but I want to make sure that that happens. Dave Donald, took my first long-range trip with my 2012 Leaf, used DC chargers, including New Electrify America, on I-80 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Poor Leaf only took 10 kilowatt hours in 30 minutes for $10. Ooh, that's painful. That is very painful. I'm going to be making a fairly long distance road trip soon, and I'm going to be using the Electrify America charging stations. That will be at the end of this year, beginning of next. So why am I not seeing the other chat, says David Taylor. I have no idea. I don't know. Is there another chat? Is there another chat? There should only be one chat right now, which is the chat in this stream. Len here from Cambridge, UK. You are doing a great job. Thank you very much, Len, and happy Sunday afternoon to you too. Sunday evening, I guess it's 5 p.m. for you now, so happy Sunday evening. It's really nice to hear the positives, because in the last couple of weeks, the amount of hate that we've been getting on the channel, just directed towards me, directed towards other people on Transport Default, has been reaching fever pitch, and it's been kind of a little bit, what's the word? A little bit disturbing, really, to be perfectly frank. It's been water off the duck's back a little bit, but you have to get used to stiff upper lipping it a little bit. So anyway, as I was saying, next week I'm not going to be here at the weekend, and so I want you guys to tell me whether you'd rather me put up 10 on Saturday as normal, and with the disclaimer that, hey, if the news story is broken beyond a certain point on Sunday, then sorry, beyond a certain point on Thursday, it's not going to be covered. Or would you rather me say, let's upload it on Friday along with the same disclaimer, and then I'll do my Saturday, I'll do a different video for Saturday. And as it happens, I've actually got a really good video I might put up on Saturday. It depends whether I get it done in time. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. I would be really, really interested to know. I liked your videos this week, especially 10, and doing your very best at being politically neutral. Thank you, David. I mean, I don't think it's any hidden hidden surprise that I am democratically leaning, because it's just the way I've been brought up, to try and believe that everybody deserves an equal chance, everybody deserves a equal rights, and that as humans we have to be better than being nationalist twats. You know, we need to support people and be compassionate to all human beings and be compassionate to all life as well. And we have to respect the world we live in. We have to respect the world around us. And yes, while humans may be the dominant bipedal species on Earth, we don't own the Earth. We don't we have to be. So we have to be mindful of how we treat each other and how we treat the planet. I mean, that's how it works for me. And so therefore I do tend to lean towards the left, because I don't like a lot of the capitalist leanings that come from the right. However, I think it's really important to acknowledge that the positions of the parties change over time. I mean, we can't forget that the Democratic Party used to be the party that supported slavery, and you know that's changed obviously, and the two parties have almost switched in a lot of ways, in some of the ways that they are seen by the world. And so we need to make sure that we keep in touch with each of the parties and keep in touch with the policies, and be willing to support parties and policies that we support regardless of where we feel we go politically. So I would love to see a political future where, you know, it would be okay for someone who was from an idealistically different standpoint to yourself coming out with a policy, and then you go and, you know what, I like that policy, I support that policy, that is a good thing, and be able to acknowledge that that is a good thing, despite the person or the party that you feel generally doesn't make good choices. And I think it's so easy in the world to be polarized. It's the same with petrol cars versus electric cars, and it's the same kind of philosophy, and it's one of the reasons why people get so angry with me. We cannot turn around and say that, you know, we're not going to support a particular car company now because of something they did in the past, or we can't tar all companies with the same brush. We need to make value judgments based on what we see and the evidence that we see. And if we can back up our opinions and our standpoints with evidence to back that up, great. If we're just going with hearsay and rumor and everything else, then no. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, it's one of the reasons why I made the post I made this week about GM, whether GM is serious or not about electric vehicles. And it might not be in the same position as Tesla, but it does seem to be pushing for electric vehicles, and the whole wanting to push back the EPA regulations. There have been some arguments out there that are saying, well, no, GM's wanting to cancel all of these fuel economy targets, and they want to hold fuel economy standards to the previous standards, and they don't want them to improve, which is not where it comes, which is not actually what's going on. What's actually going on is that GM's going, well, you know, these targets are really tough for us to meet. Whether they are or not, is regardless. I think GM could meet them. Personally, I think GM could meet those targets. But let's put that onto sort of on the back burner. What GM's actually saying is, we would like the standards to be closer to historic standards, meaning instead of increasing the fuel targets by 4 or 5%, can we increase them by 1 or 2%, which is traditionally what's always happened to that point. And so what you end up with is a car company that's saying, yeah, we want the standards to go up, we just don't want them to go up as much as they currently are. And at the same time saying, we'd love there to be an EV mandate around the world, or around the US. And I think if you take those two statements together, the conclusion that I came to is that they must want EVs. There's a lot of investment from GM into the electric vehicle market. We might not be seeing it yet, but a lot of these companies work behind the scenes. The other important thing to bear in mind here, is the difference between how Tesla and GM and some other companies operate. When Tesla's bringing a new thing to market, Tesla's working on a new product, Elon Musk and Tesla in general is very vocal about the new tech and the new things, partly because it helps Tesla get investment. So if Tesla goes, we're working on this new thing, here's our plan moving forwards, this is what we want to do. And Tesla can say, okay, this is the investment, this is what we're working on. Investors will support the company. Companies like GM, Ford, they may not need that. They may not need that external investment, and so they keep their lights under a bushel a little bit more. And I think that's one of the other things that we need to understand about the two differences between the two different companies. It doesn't make, I mean, I'd prefer it if everybody was more like Tesla in that regard, but at the same point, that could be seen as giving companies a bit of a competitive disadvantage in the marketplace because of that. So that's where we go. Bad example, perhaps, says Lars, but Arnold Schwarzenegger likes electric cars and he's Republican. Exactly the point. And I think when we're working with politics, we need to remember that it's a bit like gender, okay? People say, oh, there's two genders, blah, 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 blah. But gender is a spectrum, right? So there's different people who identify different ways along the spectrum, and there are different genders defined around the world. And that encompasses people who have genetic conditions like Klinefelter syndrome and who are intersex. You know, rare syndromes where you actually have two different sets of DNA in your body at the same time. These are all kind of go along that spectrum, and the same is true for politics. You know, you can have someone who is a very conservative liberal. You could have somebody who is a very liberal conservative. So, you know, we could see that going the other way. Audio not proper. I'm not entirely sure what you mean there by that. Can you hear me okay? Let me just see if we can figure out what's going on here. Give me a sec. There, 1 2 3 4 5. It might be because I'm streaming this from a laptop. I'm at home, and this is not the usual Transport Evolved setup. This is why it's on take 2. We are on take 2, so we're good. All right, so coming up for the week ahead, We've got some great videos. We're working on one. I'm going to work on one on muscle cars this week, which will be fine. And then we're going to be looking at a question for next week about cars, businesses, and electric car charging, which will be next Sunday's kind of thought of the weekend, which is going to be very good. The one that went out today, obviously some people called me on it and went, "You've got your monitors on, your screensavers on, and you're telling us to, you know, turn off and put you standby. What's going on?" The reality was, good call. But the reality was, if you watch the beginning of that video and you look at the computers in the background at the very beginning of that video, the screensaver doesn't come on until a couple of minutes into the video. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that I'm editing video in those computers. And while I film these Saturday, Sunday thoughts, I actually leave the computer rendering video. Normally Thursday, Friday, or Saturday's show is rendering in the background when I make those videos. So so that's how it works. That's why I had my computer monitors on and the computer on. And that computer is an iMac Pro. So if I turn the monitor off, the computer goes off, basically. And sometimes if you actually turn off monitors, I've discovered, if you turn off a monitor on that machine because the two are connected, sometimes it can cause the render to fail. I don't know why. It's a bug in the program. I'm sorry. So, but you rest assured that when I left the studio on Friday, I did turn off all of the edit machines. The only thing that's been left running is our server, and the only reason why that runs 24/7 is because it has to do all of the file transfers and backups and everything else. David Taylor. I didn't know that Wrightbuses were doing a hydrogen double-decker, no excuse for TfL and other local authorities in the UK to change. I hate diesel buses. Well, this is an interesting thing because Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, has actually said that there won't be any diesel single-decker buses joining the fleet from 2018 onwards. And the push is to get zero-emission double-deckers as well. And I suspect most of those will either be hydrogen fuel cell or hybrid. But maybe we'll see some electric ones too. The challenge, I think, for the electric ones, certainly in London, is that some of those routes are pretty long, and I don't know what the complexities of building a double-decker, because they're really heavy. A double-decker with that amount of electricity needed to be on board for that. I might be wrong. Maybe there is a good one there. But you know what? Hey, why aren't we seeing more trolley buses? The UK used to have a fantastic trolley bus network, used to have a fantastic tram network, and then we had World War II. And a lot of the tram networks and trolley bus networks were actually destroyed in World War II. And those which survived were kind of unceremoniously decommissioned between the 1950s and the 1980s. Most of them were gone by that point. There are some cities that do still have trams. Others don't. Let me just check. And so it would be lovely to see more trolley buses and trams. I mean, if you go to Bratislava, right, in Slovakia, most of the cities, the city has a large number of trolley buses and electric trams. It's great to see them zimming along. And some of the issues that we used to have with trolley buses can now be resolved with modern technology. So, you know, and as Simon says, the trolley bus network was brought up and closed down by the bus companies. In a lot of cases, that was the case. I mean, it was in the US as well. You know, tram companies, GM famously, you know, bought some tram and streetcar companies and took those down. So it would be lovely to see trolley buses and trams back on the road. Maybe that will be a future Sunday video. You've given me an idea there. I'll have to put it in my notes. So there we go. So I will be posting a video this week of a Morris Minor, electric Morris Minor test drive. It'll either come this week, it will come sometime in the next 2 weeks. And it comes from when I went to London earlier this year for Fully Charged Live. And unfortunately, because my mind wasn't in the usual place that it should be in, I was on my way to see my sister in hospital. And so I didn't have all of my gear with me. I left some gear in the US. And that meant that I wasn't able to record the audio with the usual high quality recordings that I normally do. So you'll have to forgive me. The audio on this particular video is a bit naff, but I want you all to still see it and watch it because I think it's a cracking video and I love it. We've also got a BMW i3 roundup from Kate Wharton-Elliott, in which she's pretty frank about the i3 and some of the problems that they've been having with it. And you know, I don't want to spoil the outcome, but she is not so great about it. Sorry that I could not go on about it. Could Tesla not make a connector that Supercharger would accept, and you would pay them for the connector for the electric with inverter if you have different? I don't know. I don't know quite how. I don't know what the outcome of that would be for Tesla, but the reality here is that Tesla's supercharger network is already operating at a fairly high capacity, and I think if we added all these extra cars to it, we'd be in trouble. And of course, in Europe, we're now seeing charging networks come online with their own maximum charging. So there we go. My i3 loses a ton of miles on highway, says Kent Yee. Kent Yee, that's a cool name, but it's a tongue twister. I know that Kate has had warranty issues with her cars, and we go from there. Are we trading off your Leaf? No, we're probably going to keep it. We've still got a little bit of money left to pay on it because we took out a loan to buy it, as we normally do, and we've had a good time with it. My daughter may end up getting it if we get another car. She prefers my Bolt, and most of her driving lessons are in the Bolt, but she has had to drive the Leaf as well. If there's a water pipe leak on the street with trolley buses, all electricity has to be shut down. Don't want the excavator driver to be electrocuted. Not so much with trolley buses, because there's no electricity no electricity goes to ground as far as I'm aware with the trolley buses. Looking to get an i3 now. Should I hold? It's up to you. I mean, Kate was pretty brutal about it. I'm working on the video now. It's on the list for things to do this week. So when I finish this stream, I'm going to sit down and write 2 or 3 scripts, 2, 3, 4 scripts to film. I have to actually make Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday. So I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. So I've got 7 videos to make between now and Wednesday. So it's going to be crazy. So that's why I'm writing today, because I'm at home, I can write. I've been working on a craft project here, which is it's not going to get worked on today probably. But if I finish all my writing, then I will work on it. And then tomorrow morning I'll be up early and I'll film, and then I'll just be doing video editing all day. So as long as there's no breaking news stories. If there's a breaking news story, I will jump in and cover it, but generally, no. All right. I have a 2013 Leaf with 11 bars. Love the car, says Mike. I like our Leaf too. I mean, I really do. I've had my BMW iDrive for 5 weeks and done 2,500 miles, including trips to the Lake District and the Burgess from Surrey. Great car. Sorry, the Bruges from Surrey even. Great car. The only letdown was the chargers. Yeah, the chargers are a bit of a pain. Why does America not have Renault Zoe? The 40 kilowatt hour is a cracker. Well, there's two issues here. The first one is that Renault, there are Renault Zoes in America. I have seen them. I have ridden in a Renault Zoe in the United States. Unfortunately, it was brought over by Renault Nissan, and it lives at their test facility in Silicon Valley. And it's there along with some other Renault cars, actually, that they used there for development test purposes. They're here on exemption. In order for the Renault Zoe to be sold in the United States, it would have to go through homologation for the US, which would mean a lot of crash tests, a lot of prep work ahead of that time. So because a car is crash tested in one country doesn't make it legal in another. It's just bureaucracy. And so if it doesn't meet crash test requirements, it can't be sold. And in order for it to meet crash test requirements, it has to go through the process of homologation, which is really quite costly and quite expensive. And the Renault Zoe is a little bit small for the US market, and so they just haven't done it. Also, Renault kind of didn't do very well in the US and was pulled out in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, I seem to recall. Peugeot did the same thing. I mean, it left. The 504, I think, was one of the last Peugeots to be sold over here. And so the European car companies haven't really, the French car companies haven't really come over here much since. There may be that may change in the future, but that's kind of the reason. Or the excavator can hit the overhead wires. I see. Okay, we'll look into that, as the leasing is approximately £480 per month. So if there isn't any good, then don't want to waste money over 3 years. Clemster, it's a tough one. I mean, that's a lot for a lease. It should be noted that Kate drives an early example of the i3. She loves it, but they did have some issues. If you're leasing and it's brand new, you do have warranties. You do have money that you can, if it goes wrong, you're good. I live in Scotland and most charging is free. Could I rapid charge once a week with a minimal degradation? 1 week rapid charge would suffice for a full week for me, says Jenny Lee. Hi, Jenny. I'm assuming that in that case, you probably live in Edinburgh or Glasgow if you don't have charging at home. Rapid charging once a week is not going to cause huge problems to your car's battery pack. The time that your car's, there are some caveats. You should rapid charge and then drive. You don't want to rapid charge and then park up for 2 days. You don't want to keep your battery at like 90%, above 80-90% in a stored state, because that will over time damage the battery. If you charge it up, oh, we live in Aberdeen, even better. So yeah, I mean, charging up, I would recommend that you use a Type 2 Level 2 charger, but I mean, yeah, you could rapid charge once a week and you'd be fine. The caveat is heat. Don't do it when the weather's really hot. If it is cold outside, as it gets in Aberdeen, you will find that your rapid charging will take longer, and you should drive and use up some of that power as soon as you finished rapid charging. All right. Consider the Mini next year. Yeah, I think the Mini is going to be a good one. I got mine during zero ARP deal, APR even. I think you mean, David, before they announced the 2019 with a bigger battery. I guess you're talking about the i3. Thank you, Jenny. Good to see. And nice to see more women watching my videos. We're kind of not very well represented. It's mainly the boys watching these videos and commenting and causing problems. So us girls need to make more problems too. We do have more than 2 cities in Scotland. I know, but most cities, like this, if you think about cities with parking problems, I don't think of Aberdeen as ever having huge amounts of parking problems, but when I think of cities where charging at home might be a problem, I think of Glasgow and Edinburgh. I don't think of Aberdeen or any of the other cities as having, issues, but I guess maybe that is the case. Maybe that is the case. Anywho, as we're coming up to half an hour, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna leave you in about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to get on with my day to write some video scripts. Can I do a video about the stupidly high cost of some chargers in Belgium and France, especially the Allego chargers? I don't know much about that, so send me some information on that. Talking about charging costs, I can actually probably do something along those lines. So coming up next week, we are going to be working on, as I've already said, the videos on the electric Horus Minor. We've got the i3 update. I've got some great blog posts for you. There's some other videos coming along the way. Please excuse my dog. My daughter's just come down. As teenagers do at 9:30 in the morning, and the dog's whining at her for attention. And then I will be away from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I'll be back on Tuesday. So if there's any breaking news story, it won't get covered from me. So please don't get angry and cross. It's just that I'm not around. I can't be around all the time. So there we go. And then end of the year, we've got some fun things coming up. We've got a buying guide. We're going to be doing a buying guide for Black Friday, Thanksgiving. So if you have any ideas for gifts that you think would be great for plug-in fans, zero emission fans, cleaner, greener, safer, smarter vehicle fans, let me know. Ping me a message, show@transportevolved.com, and we can go through those. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, support us on Patreon, and go to our new Teespring shop, which is teespring.com/shop/transport-evolved. Sorry about the long link there. It's taken a while for me to memorize it. It's just the way that Teespring does those things. We will also be getting ready to do some nice trips to CES in January, and I have some plans there for some special shout outs. So I will let you know more about that nearer the time. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. I'm going to go and write some scripts for you to enjoy for the rest of the week. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day and keep evolving.